Hi everybody, thanks for watching. I wanted to just put another little short video together and elaborate on our last video where I talked about one of the most common faults I see in golf is when people are coming into impact, just pre-impact, they're a little bit too far back, trail elbow, trail wrist, trail knee, trail hip, everything just a little bit too far back, lead shoulder popping up a little bit high, and what that tends to cause is hitting the floor a little bit early, or maybe even not hitting the floor at all and hitting the ball on the way up, and then everything has to kind of collapse to make space for that to happen. So we see a lot of that, and that is one of the biggest things that myself and some of the other coaches here at Charm would have to work with on a daily basis. So a great cure for that issue is if you were to get yourself a little bit of something that you can put under your right foot and get yourself to this position, you can then practice learning to get the arms down without the body unwinding too early. Because the problem is, when you get to the top, most golfers start their downswing too much with their upper body. This whole thing starts to unwind too soon. What that does from here, as this starts to unwind too early, it throws the club away from them. The club is then starting to come over the top, and then its path into the golf ball is from out to in. So we start to swing way left for a right-handed golfer of the target, causing all kinds of problems. Now, when that then starts to happen, and we've got to this position here, and this early motion starts, our weight is now pushed too far into our trail toe. For me, my right foot is too much into the toes. The knee starts to come forward, as does the hip, the rib cage, the shoulder, everything's moving that way. Now I'm driving down on top of the golf ball too much. If I'm not careful, I'm going to hit it low and left. So then, as an instinct, my body starts to rise up, lean back, and hit the ball in this position. The left wrist starts to bend, the lead elbow starts to buckle to try and compensate, and we're into a world of hurt. It's just not going to help anybody. So let's start to see if we can cure that. Get yourselves, I've got here a foam wedge. I use this a lot. I find this a really, really good training aid, but you don't need to go and buy anything like that. You can make something. Here I've got a bit of swimming noodle that we also use quite a lot in the academy. I could just put my foot on it, but I could just, as long as I've got some kind of wedge, you could use a ring binder, something with a little bit of angle to it, and place your foot on it. There's no real pressure in the toe. You feel that all your weight is in the heel. And then you can go to the top of your backswing here, and then practice allowing the arms to drop into this slot here, dropping your arms down to there nice and comfortably, and the weight has still stayed in that heel. So because we've got that back, the weight stays in the heel, the knee stays back, so does the trail hip, ribs, shoulder. We can practice getting to this position. Okay, now we're not going to go any further, because as we go further, then the weight obviously does start to move into the toes. This is just a drill to isolate from the top of the backswing to feel that we can create this position here to keep the trail side back and quiet before we then start to fire it. So we haven't got this over the top movement where we then have to throw ourselves backwards. We can bring our arms down and then start to fire it that way. So taking our address position down the range, I've got my wedge in place, whatever I might be using for that. I've got my comfortable setup. I can move backwards, start the turn, load myself to the top, practice getting into this position here, still allowing my body to do what it needs to be doing, back, there, and then once I get to there, I can release it and go into my full follow through. Now that's going to change the path of your golf swing hugely. You're going to go from swinging across the golf ball, where if you move through it, you would drag it way left. You don't have to throw yourself behind it. The club is going to stay behind you. Your arms are going to drop into the beautiful slot that you see these guys on television finding here. And from there, we can just freewheel through, hit the ball, then the turf, and then get through into our finish and start to see a much, much better flighted shot for you. So give that a go. Get yourself something, a little bit of a wedge, ring binder, whatever it might be. Swimming noodle is very, very good. And at home, in an evening, when you've got a bit of time, just practice this movement here that you're just working those arms down. You're learning that motion of that lead arm. It's really staying nice and simple before we start to release it. That's going to help you a lot. Practice it at home. little bit every night before you golf at the weekend, and you'll soon start to see that start to pay dividends in your golf game. Work hard at it and good luck.